Welcome back, 7th grade scholars. I'm Ms. Whitaker, and I'm excited to have you join me for another math lesson. Let's get started. First, let's review the you try questions from yesterday's lesson. Check your answers. Take some time to see what you did differently if you answered any questions incorrectly. Then correct your answers. Rufus plans to collect 25 pounds of aluminum each week. Write an equation Rufus can use to figure out how many he will collect after X number of weeks. So our goal was to first determine the slope from the verbal description, and then write the equation y equals mx to represent the relationship. So to do that, you would determine or find words that mean slope, or words that represent slope, words that represent a rate of change. And I see the word each. Okay, so each represents a rate of change because something is changing each week. What's changing each week? He is collecting 25 pounds of aluminum. So each week he's adding 25 pounds of aluminum to his collection. So 25 pounds is actually your slope. Okay? So when you write your equation in the form y equals mx, all you do is replace m with 25 in the equation. And then you're going to keep the rest of the equation exactly the same. So now the equation reads y is equal to 25x. X represents the number of weeks he's going to collect the aluminum, and y will represent how many pounds of aluminum he will end up with. Melissa joined Gold's Gym. She will pay $30 per month. Write an equation Melissa can use to figure out how much money M she will spend after going to the gym in months. So again, we're on the lookout for slope keywords or words that represent a rate of change. And I see the word per. Okay, so what's changing per month? She is paying $30 every month. So $30 is your actual rate of change, which means you would replace or substitute the slope in the equation, or the variable that represents slope in the equation, for 30. Usually we use the equation in the form y equals mx to represent our relationship. However, in this specific example, they give you variables that you should use to write your equation. So we're going to replace y. We're going to replace all of the variables, either for a number or different variables that they want us to use from the question. So they tell you that M represents the money that she's going to pay, and N represents the number of months that she goes to the gym. So if you're having an issue with using or writing, knowing how to write an equation based on these variables, then I would suggest you write the equation y equals mx. Remember that m represents the slope, y is your independent variable, and x is your independent variable, and y is your dependent variable. So y is dependent upon how many months she goes to the gym. How much money she pays is dependent upon how many months she goes to the gym. Okay, so the number of months would be n, and m would be money. Earl opened a checking account and deposits $5 each week into the account. Which equation can Earl use to figure out how much money M he will have after saving W weeks? Okay, so again, we're trying to find words that represent the slope. And I see the word each. What is he doing each week? he is depositing $5 into his account each week, which means 5 is your actual rate of change. So that would represent your slope. But in this example, just like the one before it, they give you specific variables to use when writing your equation. If you look at your answer choices, they're written with the variables M and W. So M represents money, okay, how much money he has in his account, and W represents the number of weeks he is saving $5 or depositing $5 into his savings account. Okay, so 5 represents your slope. You're going to substitute M for 5, and then you're going to substitute Y for M, X for W, because the amount of money he has in the account is dependent upon how many weeks he's saving or he's depositing the $5. So when you multiply 5 times the number of weeks, it will give you the amount of money. So the answer choice you should have chose was D. A person earned $48 selling 12 candles in the first hour of a local fair. If M represents the money he earned selling S candles, which equations represent the relationship between the money he earns and the number of candles sold? So here, this is a TEI question. There are more than one correct answer. So we are going to choose all correct answers. It tells you at the beginning of the question that this person made $48 selling 12 candles. Okay. And that represents, and they also tells you that M represents the money he earned, and S represents how many candles he sold or she sold. So this answer choice here represents the relationship stated here. $48 selling 12 candles. M is money, so 48M. S is candles, is equal to 12S. You got $48 for selling 12 candles. Okay. However, that is not a unit rate. It is not in simplest form. When I say unit rate, it is when your denominator is 1. So basically, we're trying to figure out how much money did he make for selling 1 candle. And your unit rate will also represent a rate of change. That is how you find your slope. So what you can do is you can set up a proportion, money over candles, to compare or to figure out how much money this person will make selling 1 candle. So they made $48 selling 12 candles. How much money would they make selling 1 candle? So when you set up your proportion, you will cross multiply the two numbers that are diagonal from each other. 48 times 1 gives you 48, and divide by the remaining number. 48 divided by 12 is equal to 4. So if this person sold 1 candle, they will receive $4. Okay, and that's 4M and 1S, which is this relationship or this equation here. 1S, or just S, is equal to 4M. And that is how I got those two answers. Please take this time to correct your answers if you got any of them incorrect. And hit the play button when you're ready to move on. What are we doing today? Today we will learn how to graph a line representing a proportional relationship between two quantities given an ordered pair on the line, and the slope M is a rate of change. Materials needed for today's lesson: you need a pencil, you need paper, preferably you need graph paper, but you can use regular paper. And you also need a ruler or a straight edge, so you can use the edge of a notebook. You can fold a piece of paper and use a straight edge, so we will have a straight edge to use when we graph our lines. Okay? Write down your notes, solve your guided practice problems, and your you try problems in your notebook. If you have access to a printer, you can print out slides 7 through 9, the full page slides, and use those sheets to follow along with the lesson. Okay, so the vocabulary for today's lesson is the same vocabulary from day 1, in which I do an overview of the vocabulary words. So if you need more assistance with learning the definitions, then you can go back to the video from day 1, but they are also here so you can reference them. So if I say a word that you don't remember, you can go back and look it up in the video. All right, so now we are going to learn and practice how to graph a line given a point and slope. So in these examples, they're going to give you an ordered pair or a point, and they will give you the slope of the line. I'm going to go through the steps, and then I will go in more detail later. Step 1, plot the point given. Step 2, if the slope is not in fraction form, turn it into a fraction. Step 3, plot the next point using rise over run directions. Step 4, to plot points underneath of the point given, use the opposite directions of your rise over run. Okay, so let's discuss the coordinate plane really quickly, do like a mini lesson in terms of how to plot points. Number 1, you always start at the origin. Okay, then you move left or right on the x-axis first, always. Then up or down on the y-axis. You always run before you jump. Okay, ordered pairs are written in a fixed order. That's why they are called ordered pairs. They're always written in the form x, y. Okay, x being your first coordinate, y being your second coordinate. Okay, so you always find your x coordinate first along the x-axis, so left or right, and then your y coordinate second along the y-axis, so up or down. Okay, run before you jump. Okay, then also, if you start at the origin and you're on the x-axis, then you should know that the numbers to the right, the numbers to the left on the x-axis are negative numbers. The numbers on the right on the x-axis are positive numbers. And on the y-axis, if the numbers going up are positive and the numbers going down are negative. Okay, you should remember that. So now we're going to attempt to plot the point that was given to us. Okay, so start at the origin first always, then plot or find your x coordinate first, then your y. So -2, if you're on the x-axis, you're going to go 2 units to the left, then -4, you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 units down. Plot your point. Okay. Then we need to change our slope into a fraction. So you do that. This is a whole number 2. Therefore, you just put that number 2 over 1. You can change any whole number into a fraction by placing it over 1. And we're doing this because slope represents the vertical change over horizontal change, right? Rise over run. Change in y over change in x. Therefore, when you change this into fraction form, it will give you directions to finding all the other points in our line, okay? So when you change it into a fraction, you're going to get directions. Think about it. So this represents the 2 in the numerator represents your change in y. So if you're on the y-axis and your number is positive, this is a positive 2, there, that means you will go up. So your first direction will be 2 up, okay? And then the denominator represents the change in x. So along the x-axis, right? And if it's positive, the number in the denominator is positive, that means you will move right where the positive numbers are. So that is your second. That is your second direction, okay? And from those two directions, we can plot all the other points along our line. So we're going to follow the directions, starting with the point they gave us. You're going to move 2 up, 1 right. 1, 2 up, 1 to the right. Plot your point, okay? 1, 2 up, 1 to the right. Plot your point. It's hard to see because of the highlighting. However, 1, 2, we're at the origin at this point. 1, 2 up, 1 to the right. 2 up, 1 to the right. 2 up, 1 to the right. Okay? Then the last step says to plot points underneath of the point given, which is this last one, the one at the very bottom. Use the opposite directions of your rise over run. So we found directions 2 up, 1 right. We are going to go in the opposite directions to plot any points underneath of this bottom point, okay? So that means we will go 2 down, 1 left. 2 down, 1 to the left. 2 down, 1 to the left. 2 down, 1 to the left. Okay? Then after that, you're going to use your ruler or your straight edge to connect your dots and create your line. And now we have graphed a line given a point and the slope. Let's try again. Example number 2, they give us -8, -6, and the slope is 3/4 or 3/4. Once again, we're going to plot the point given to us. So to do that, start at your origin, start at the origin, and you are going to move to the left 8 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and down 6 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, plot your point. Then you are going to find your direction from your slope. So our change in y is positive, therefore we're going to go up. We're going to go 3 up, and our change in x is also positive, so therefore we're going to go 4 right. Okay. From there, we're going to plot our point using our directions. So from our point that we plotted, we are going to go 3 up, 1, 2, 3, and 4 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Plot your point. Okay. 1, 2, 3 up. 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right. We are now in the origin or at the origin. Then we're going to go 1, 2, 3 up. 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right. And again, 1, 2, 3 up. 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right. At this point, you can take your ruler or your straight edge and connect the dots to create your line. Okay? If you notice with these lines, they are going through the origin. There are straight lines going through the origin, which means they represent what type of relationship. If you said proportional relationship, then you will be correct. Anytime you have straight lines that go through the origin, it represents a proportional relationship. Okay, so now at this point, you are going to attempt to do some problems on your own. There are 4 problems for you to complete. And then the last thing you're going to do is head over to Clever, log into Dreambox, and complete 2 Dreambox lessons. Okay, but I also want to point out some things in your independent practice. Number 1, when your slope is when your y value or your x value is negative, make sure you're going in the correct direction. Okay, so if this is the change, you know the number in the numerator is the change in y, and if it's negative, then you are going to go down, right? So your directions will be 5 or -5 down. It will be 5 down. You're going to go down 5. Okay. And then here, remember, if you have a whole number, put that whole number over 1. Turn it into a fraction, and then find your directions. All right. So that's all I have for today. I'll see you guys at the next lesson.